The morning mist clung to the amber wheat fields like a protective shroud when the raiders came. Lara Ashworth was 19, her hands still dirty from checking the grain moisture sensors, when the first transport ships descended through New Eden's pale sky. "Get to the shelters," her father Marcus shouted, his weathered face pale with terror. The colonial defense sirens wailed across the valley, but everyone knew it was too late. The HFY Consortium had been striking human frontier worlds for months, and their bioresearch division was hungry for specimens. Lara ran toward the farmhouse where her younger brother, Tam, was helping their mother Helena pack emergency supplies. The air crackled with alien energy weapons as armored figures emerged from the landing craft. These weren't the typical pirates or slavers. Their equipment was too advanced, their movements too precise. "They're scanning for something specific," Elena whispered, clutching Tam close. Through the kitchen window, they watched the aliens methodically testing colonists with handheld devices, rejecting most with dismissive gestures. A HFY soldier tall, insectoid, with mandibles that clicked rhythmically approached their hiding spot. Its scanner chittered excitedly when pointed at Lara. She felt a strange tingling, as if something deep in her cells was responding to the alien technology. "Neural compatibility confirmed," the creature announced in perfect standard. "Genetic. Markers optimal. Psychological profile suitable for integration." Marcus stepped protectively in front of his daughter. "She's just a farmer's girl. There's nothing special about her." The HFY's compound eyes fixed on him with what might have been amusement. "Your species underestimates itself, human. This one possesses rare neural plasticity, a 1 in 10 million genetic lottery. Combined with her psychological resilience markers, she's perfect for the Chimera project." Before anyone could react, a restraint field enveloped Lara. Her family's screams faded as paralysis crept through her limbs. The last thing she saw was Tam's tear-streaked face pressed against the window as the transport lifted off hours later. Aboard the research vessel Void Sculptor, Lara awakened strapped to a bio-integration table. Dr. Ethek, the consortium's chief researcher, studied her with 6 arms manipulating various instruments. Beside him stood General Cruix, a battle-scarred Vorthan whose species had allied with the HFY out of desperation. "The Deathworld humans have cost us 17 systems," Cruix growled. "This weapon must succeed where our armies have failed." Ethak's mandibles clicked approvingly. "The neural interface will grant her combat instincts from our greatest warriors. The bioarmor will make her nearly indestructible. And the AI core ... double quotes," he paused dramatically, "will ensure absolute obedience." As the first injection entered her bloodstream, Lara felt her humanity beginning to fracture. But somewhere deep inside, where dreams lived, she held tight to the memory of morning mist and golden wheat, refusing to let them take everything. 3 months of agony transformed Lara into something the galaxy had never seen. The biointegration laboratory became her world a sterile hell of constant modification and testing. Dr. Ethek documented every procedure with scientific fascination, while General Cruix demanded progress reports that measured her growing lethality. Physical changes came first. Alien bioarmor fused with her skeletal system, creating retractable plates that could deflect plasma rounds. Her muscles were restructured with synthetic fibers that granted superhuman strength and speed. Neural implants connected her consciousness to the ship's tactical networks, flooding her mind with combat data from a dozen warrior species. "Fascinating," Ethek murmured during one particularly brutal session. "Her human neural pathways are adapting to the modifications rather than being overwritten. Most subjects lose their original personality matrix by week 4. But it was the AI integration that nearly broke her. The Ancient Keeper, a sentient program from a long-dead civilization, was surgically implanted into her brainstem. Its voice whispered constantly, teaching her weapon systems, battle tactics, and the art of killing efficiently. "You resist me, little human," the keeper's voice echoed in her thoughts. "But I have broken the minds of gods. You will submit, yet." Somehow, Lyra found ways to maintain her sense of self. During the endless combat simulations, she would recite her mother's lullabies. Between training exercises, she would trace patterns in the air, remembering how wheat moved in the wind. The aliens saw these as harmless quirks, not realizing she was building mental fortresses around her humanity. Dr. Vex, a younger HFY researcher, began to notice anomalies in her psychological profiles. Her empathy centers should have been suppressed by now, she reported to Ethic. The neural conditioning isn't taking hold as expected. Irrelevant, General Cruix interjected. Her combat effectiveness exceeds all projections. Deploy her to Phoenix 7 immediately. The test deployment was meant to be routine. Eliminate a small human research outpost, gather intelligence, return for further conditioning. Instead, Lyra found herself standing in a room full of terrified scientists, their eyes wide with recognition of what she'd become. Dr. Sarah Chun, the lead researcher, stepped forward with remarkable bravery. "You're human," she whispered. "I can see it in your eyes. Whatever they've done to you, you're still one of us." For a moment, Lyra's enhanced system screamed for her to eliminate the threat. The Keeper urged her to complete the mission. But something deeper, something they couldn't modify or control, made her lower her weapons. "Run," she whispered, her voice strange through the biomask. "Tell everyone them I remember the wheat fields." She transmitted false data to her handlers, reporting the outpost destroyed while the scientists escaped. It was a small act of rebellion, but it proved something crucial. They had created a weapon, but not a slave. The Keeper's voice grew more urgent after that incident. "They will discover your deception. We must return to our makers." But Lyra was learning to fight on multiple fronts, not just against external enemies, but against the alien intelligence trying to consume her mind from within. 6 months after her transformation, Lyra had become the Consortium's most effective weapon. Her reputation spread across the war-torn systems like wildfire, a figure in living armor who could appear anywhere, strike with impossible precision, and vanish before reinforcements arrived. Human forces began calling her the Wraith, never suspecting she was one of their own. The war between humanity and the Sika Consortium had escalated beyond anyone's expectations. Admiral Sarah Morrison, commanding the human defense fleet from her flagship Indomitable, studied the latest intelligence reports with growing concern. The mysterious weapon was single-handedly turning the tide of several major campaigns. 37 successful operations in 4 months, reported her intelligence officer, Commander Jake Torres. "This thing, whatever it is, has tactics that adapt in real time. It's like fighting someone who knows our playbook better than we do." What they didn't understand was that Lyra did know their playbook. The Keeper's vast database included centuries of human military doctrine, absorbed from previous conquests. But increasingly, she found herself hesitating during missions, looking for ways to minimize casualties rather than maximize them. On Kepler Station, during what should have been a simple sabotage mission, Lyra encountered Captain Maria Santos, tactical officer who reminded her painfully of her mother. As Santos tried desperately to evacuate civilian personnel, Lyra found herself providing subtle assistance, creating equipment malfunctions that bought precious time for the escape. "Pods, you grow weak," the Keeper hissed in her mind. "This sentimentality will be our destruction." The AI began fighting her more directly, attempting to seize control during critical moments. Their internal battles became as intense as any external conflict, with Lyra's memories of home serving as weapons against the ancient program's influence. Dr. Ethek noticed the behavioral anomalies during debriefings. Her mission efficiency has decreased by 12% over the last month, he reported to General Cruex. The human psychological substrate may be reasserting itself. Then we increase the neural conditioning, Cruex decided. Schedule her for intensive reprogramming. But before they could implement the procedure, Lyra vanished during a routine mission to the Rigel system. Her transport was found adrift, empty except for traces of her biosignature and a cryptic message burned into the bulkhead. The wheat remembers the wind. The consortium launched a massive search operation, but Lyra had learned to use their own technology against them. She disabled her tracking implants, masked her energy signature, and disappeared into the vast network of asteroid mining facilities that dotted the outer rim. For weeks, she drifted between forgotten stations and abandoned colonies, slowly learning to be human again. The bioarmor could retract completely now, leaving her looking almost normal, except for the faint glow of her enhanced eyes. The Keeper grew quieter, its influence waning as she rediscovered aspects of her original personality. But her freedom came at a cost. Without the consortium's regular neural treatments, the competing systems in her body began causing painful conflicts. She was dying her human biology, slowly rejecting the alien modifications. It was then that she made a decision that would change everything. She wouldn't run anymore. She would go home to the wheat fields of New Eden and reclaim what they had stolen from her, not as their weapon, but as herself. The journey back to New Eden took 3 months of careful navigation through war-torn space. Lyra traveled on stolen ships, hidden cargo vessels, and sometimes simply walked across asteroid belts in her bioarmor, her enhanced physiology requiring neither air nor warmth. The Keeper's voice had grown weaker, its ancient consciousness fracturing under the sustained rebellion of her human spirit. "You cannot go back," it whispered during the final approach to her home system. "They will see you as a monster. The humans will fear what you have become." But Lyra pressed forward, driven by dreams of golden wheat and her mother's voice. As her commandeered scout ship entered New Eden's atmosphere, she saw the devastating changes below. The once lush agricultural valleys were scorched wastelands. The consortium had returned after her disappearance, punishing the colony for somehow producing their escaped weapon. The Ashworth farm was nothing but blackened foundations and twisted metal. Lyra knelt in what had been her mother's garden, her enhanced senses detecting faint traces of her family's genetic markers in the soil. They had died here, she realized. Died because of what she had become. "I thought you might come back eventually." Lyra spun, her combat systems instantly active, to find an elderly man with kind eyes standing at the edge of the ruins. Dr. Edmund Hayes, the colony's former medical director, looked older but remarkably calm for someone facing a legendary alien weapon. "Your family spoke of you often, before ... He gestured at the destruction. "Elena never stopped believing you were alive somewhere, fighting to come home." The words hit harder than any weapon. Lyra's bioarmor rippled with emotional feedback, the alien technology struggling to process human grief. "They're gone because of me," she whispered. "No," Dr. Hayes said firmly. "They're gone because monsters came from space and took our children. You're just the one who survived." He led her to a hidden underground shelter where other survivors had gathered, maybe 200 souls from a colony that once held 50,000. They stared at her with a mixture of fear and wonder, recognizing the inhuman enhancements, but seeing something familiar in her eyes. Among them was Tam, now 22, and bearing the scars of the consortium's final assault. Her brother looked at her for a long moment before stepping forward and embracing her, bioarmor and all. "I knew you'd come back," he said simply. "Mom always said you were too stubborn to stay lost." Over the following days, Lyra shared her story with the survivors. They listened as she described the transformation, the war, her escape, and the growing conflict with the AI in her head. Some were horrified, others fascinated, but all gradually came to understand that she was still fundamentally one of them, that doctor. Hayes examined her extensively, his medical knowledge expanded by years of treating alien weapon wounds. The biointegration is remarkable, he admitted, but it's also killing you. The human and alien systems are incompatible long-term. You have maybe 6 months before complete cellular breakdown. Lara nodded calmly. She had felt the degradation accelerating since her return to New Eden, but 6 months might be enough for what she planned to do. The Keeper, sensing her resolve, made one final attempt at control. You would throw away godlike power for these cattle? We could rule galaxies together. I never wanted to rule anything, Lara replied aloud, causing the other survivors to look up in concern. I just wanted to grow wheat and live quietly. Since you took that from me, I'll settle for making sure others can. Then you will die accomplishing nothing. Maybe, but I'll die human. News of Lara's return spread through underground networks faster than the consortium could suppress it. Within weeks, human resistance cells across the frontier were reporting encounters with a figure who matched the legendary Wraith, except now she fought for humanity instead of against it. The change in tactics was devastating to consortium forces. Lyra's intimate knowledge of their technology, combined with her emotional reconnection to humanity, made her the perfect guerrilla leader. She struck supply convoys, liberated prison ships, and systematically dismantled the bio-research facilities where other humans might suffer her fate. Admiral Morrison received the first confirmed intelligence about the Wraith's true identity. During a rescue operation at Tau City, a liberated prisoner, Dr. James Wright from the original New Eden colony, provided a detailed account of Lara Ashworth's transformation and return. She's one of ours, Morrison told her senior staff during an emergency briefing. A farm girl from New Eden who somehow broke free of alien conditioning and came home. Commander Torres studied the tactical reports with growing amazement. Her strike patterns show intimate knowledge of consortium weak points. If we could coordinate with her. No, Morrison said firmly. This young woman has been through enough. She deserves the chance to find peace, not to be conscripted into another war. But Lara had already made her choice. Working from the ruins of New Eden, she established a network of safe houses and supply lines that stretched across 3 systems. Other survivors joined her cause, human refugees who had lost everything to alien aggression and found hope in the story of a monster who remembered her humanity. Dr. Hayes worked desperately to find a way to stabilize her deteriorating condition. But the alien and human systems were simply too incompatible. Lyra's body was consuming itself to maintain the bio-enhancements, and each battle accelerated the process. I could remove some of the modifications, he offered during one of their medical sessions, buy you more time, and reduce my effectiveness. Against the consortium, Lara replied. No, I'd rather burn bright than fade slowly. The Keeper's voice had become barely a whisper, the ancient AI finally succumbing to the sustained assault of human emotion and will. In its death throes, it offered her one final gift: complete access to its vast military database, purged of the conditioning protocols that had tried to control her. Perhaps. Perhaps your species is more formidable than we calculated, it admitted. In its final moments, use this knowledge well, little human. Make our sacrifice meaningful. Lyra's final battle came at the consortium's primary research facility in the Vega system. Intelligence indicated they were preparing to create more human weapons, having learned from their mistakes with her. She couldn't allow that to happen. The assault was surgical and devastating. Lyra's enhanced abilities, combined with her tactical knowledge and burning determination, overwhelmed the facility's defenses in less than an hour. She destroyed the bio-integration equipment, liberated the test subjects, and transmitted all research data to human intelligence networks. As alarms wailed and reinforcements converged on her position, Lara stood in the facility's central laboratory, her bio-armor flickering as her cellular structure finally began its terminal collapse. She activated the station's self-destruct sequence, ensuring that nothing could be salvaged from the research. Her final transmission reached Admiral Morrison's fleet 3 hours later. Tell them the wheat fields remember. Tell them we don't break. We just grow back stronger. The explosion of the research facility marked a turning point in the war. Without their bioweapon program, the consortium's advance stalled. Human forces, inspired by the story of Lara Ashworth, began pushing. Back with renewed determination, on New Eden, Tam Ashworth planted the first new wheat in the rebuilt fields, the golden grain swaying in the morning breeze like a promise that some things hope. Family, the determination to remain human, despite everything could never truly be destroyed, had turned her into a monster for war. But in the end, she had turned herself back into something far more powerful, a protector, a symbol, and proof that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology or enhancement, but the simple refusal to surrender what made them human. Asterisk.